I'm Amy.
I'm Laura.
And we are Twopapergirls.
Today we're doing another Project 2015 video. We were just saying that we seem to be doing these a lot this month. I think it's just the film time, like between September and December you get a lot of films coming out, and just happens that most of those films are booked to film adaptations that we're going to go see.
This one is a bit different though. This one isn't a film, this is a play. We went to see Hamlet with Benedict Cumberbatch in, and it was so good. We went to see it in the cinema and it was broadcast live from the National Theatre, and it was so good, so we're just going to give you some of our thoughts on that today.
Obviously we study English literature at uni, so part of studying English literature is thinking critically about books and analysing them a lot. So when we go and see plays we can't help but do that, because that's something we've had to do a lot in our course as well, especially in drama modules. So we have a lot of thoughts on this production which might not appeal to people who just want to see a review of it like this. So we're actually going to start a new little mini-series on our channel. We do more literary analysis because we do uni book hauls and we did the classics tag, and they seem to be really popular videos, and we don't expect people to care about our university reading because we struggle to care about it sometimes. But we read a lot of good things and we think cool thoughts about them, so we're going to do a whole new series where we talk more in depth and we'll even explain some literature terms and stuff if that's something people would like.
So the first thing that you probably want to know is how Benedict Cumberbatch was. He was amazing. We really struggled not comparing this to the David Tennant version because obviously that is the one that come before it and they're actors of the same calibre, I reckon.
Yeah.
And he's played it pretty similar. His soliloquies were pretty much in the same tone. The Feel Not To Be speech it wasn't as good. But not because he did it badly, just because David Tennant's one was just, so there was something more.
Yeah.
I think it was because we're waiting for so long for this Benedict Cumberbatch version.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been better because they just had this expectation put on him. It was when the little lines that you don't necessarily pick out in speeches just come out and you realise you forgot where they were in the play. When he said them, he said them really well. But it was like that one speech, it was just going into it, you knew it was going to happen. It was weird.
I think the acting overall in the production was amazing, and obviously Benedict Cumberbatch, he was definitely the strongest actor, and his performance was incredible overall. But like you say, the To Be or Not To Be speech wasn't as good as the David Tennant one, but not because of Benedict Cumberbatch. It was like the way the production did certain things. I preferred the David Tennant RSC version. You can get the DVD and also watch it online, so if you're interested in comparing it, I think it's on YouTube. But yeah, there was the scenes I just preferred the way they did it as a whole, and that's not like the actor, it's just the way the productions. And the kind of view I got of this Hamlet is quite a lot of the time with the David Tennant one and other productions, you don't know if he's mad or not. You can never really tell if he's actually mad or pretending to be mad, because he's just being really clever. Whereas with this one, I was like 100% that he is sane, and all of his moments of madness are really put on for the people. When he's by himself, he's completely sane. And with the To Be or Not To Be speech, it was kind of like a debate with himself. It was kind of, I read a review where someone said it was kind of like a do or don't conversation with the audience, which I think is definitely sort of sums it up, because a lot of the time that speech can be, if you've got a Hamlet that appears more mad, then that speech can be a lot more emotional, whereas Benedict Cumberbatch's was a lot more like logical. He was kind of just reasoning with himself, which I think made it stand out a little bit less than the David Tennant one, but not because it's worse, it's just different.
And saying that the acting was all amazing, it wasn't. There was some some weaker performances. We didn't really like some of Ophelia's scenes, but saying that her death scene was really well staged and we really enjoyed that. But also Horatio, he didn't fit. He didn't fit in the way of everyone was dressed quite periodically drama and he just had a really weird shirt on. He had tattoos and glasses and a backpack. I'm like,
he was like a proper little hipster, and I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch did wear t-shirts and trainers at some points, but then he also wore a long coat and stuff that was more period of the time and things. So they did mix with the kind of time frame a little bit, but Horatio was just weird. He was just something off of Instagram, and his performance wasn't that strong. I was okay with it up until the very end, and obviously, spoilers, when Hamlet dies, Horatio then speaks after that, and I felt like that performance was a bit weak. I didn't really care for it. I thought he was fine all the way through because he wasn't really doing much, but then when he had his kind of bigger moment, I was a bit meh about him.
I'm glad they didn't drag out the ending from when Hamlet dies to the actual end, because Horatio's speech was a bit underwhelming, and after Hamlet's dead and he's like, the rest is silence, and then Horatio talks, and you've got a big scene with Fortinbras, and I was like, if this carries on for another 20 minutes I'm going to get really bored because it's over, but that went really quickly, and Fortinbras was gorgeous.
He was gorgeous. I was like, well, he should have been in it more. I mean, obviously he's not even in the real play, but I wish he was. I think this production definitely left in all the key scenes, because Hamlet, I think, is the longest Shakespeare play. A lot of productions cut out bits because it's just so long, but it didn't feel long. Like, up until the first, like, there was an interval because it was live, up until the interval I was getting fidgety for the last like 20 minutes leading up to the interval, but only those last 20 minutes. It felt like more like an hour and a half, not like over 2 like it actually was. But I did find after the interval all the scenes are the ones I don't really care about. It's like up until the interval is when it's all the big scenes really, and he's sent off to England and all of that, and then after that you get a lot more of like the other characters. You don't get as much Hamlet, and I didn't really care for those scenes up until like the big finale. I thought the finale was done really well. Like Amy said, we do compare this a lot to the David Tennant one just because we love that version to death and we watched it so much. And I preferred the ending in this one. It felt a lot more exciting. Like, the sword fight was like a proper sword fight, and it wasn't just like a little stab with the fencing thing. Like, they proper went for it at each other because they had all this anger. And with the David Tennant one, Claudius chooses to drink the poison drink. He kind of shrugs and just drinks it because he sort of commits suicide as well. Whereas in this one, Hamlet like stabs him and then forces him to drink it, and I really like that aggression. It felt like Hamlet really got his revenge that he wanted. So I really like the ending to this production.
It was on the National Theatre stage, and that was obviously huge. The first thing that struck me when the curtain went up was the massive stage. It was so huge. The banquet table was massive. It was just so extravagant and gigantic. And these actors, I thought, they're doing really well to not be drowned by this huge stage. Now, when there's only 3 of them on stage and there's massive space, because the sets were complicated but they were quite sparse because it was so big. And a good thing about this production as well is the humour. It was quite funny in places, especially with the Yorick school bit and the gravedigger. I really enjoyed that bit because it's very serious, this play, and when it makes you laugh, it's always nice.
I definitely think with this production, although the way it did certain scenes didn't stand out to me as much as the David Tennant one, which I'm going to keep going on about because it's the only comparison I have, and the music and the stage and the lighting, all of that was amazing. Like, the lighting was so good, it can make someone look all eerie and ghosty, and it would focus you on different points on the stage, and I just thought it was really cleverly done. And like Amy said, the staging was huge. It was like, it had stairs, like actual stairs, and a little upper level, and I liked how they changed it around so much, and had all this like intense music in the scene changes, which kind of, it just made it really exciting and kind of creepy all the way through, which I really liked. I liked the creepiness and the way they did the production in terms of all of that, but then it was just specific scenes I prefer to be done in a different way. Like, I think I prefer Hamlet to be like, I want to question his madness a little bit, and the scene with him and his mum when he confronts her, that is amazing in the David Tennant and Hamlet one. If you haven't seen that scene, go and look it up now. I think it's like Act 4 or something, but it's on the bed and it's just amazing. Whereas in this scene, I was slightly let down by this one. Again, not Benedict Cumberbatch's performance though, because he was just on point throughout. Like, he could just make himself cry really quickly, and he's just such a good actor. Like, his voice is like honey. He's just amazing. And he really buffed up as well. We both said he changed costume at one point and he had braces on, and you could really, his arms were huge, and we were like, whoa, when did he become like Jim Batch? He just looked really buff and handsome. Yeah, me and Amy both aren't a massive fan of Ophelia. Like, she's a bit of a blur character. I can see her point, but I've never cared for her, and I really want to see a production where I care about Ophelia's story, because in every version, the 2 versions that I've seen, she's just like a neurotic, whimpering mess from the first scene, and I don't understand why. Like, she's kind of overruled by Hamlet messes with her emotions, and her brother and her dad always tell her what to do and everything, but wouldn't it be nice if she was just like happy and cheeky for the first like 3 acts, and then maybe like I want to see like a gradual change in her feelings, and then with her like father's death, that's the final tipping point that makes her mad. Like, whereas both productions have just done her as like a whimpering mess from the start, and that was my instant impression. In like, she's like, oh, Hamlet loves me in like her first scene, but she just looks like she's gonna cry, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's just just Ophelia is such an annoying character. Yeah, I just want to see a production where they put more focus on her, and where it's a little bit more of a love story, and you can see why she kills herself, because it just seems so sudden, and I just don't care. But like Amy said, her death scene was done really well though. Like the music and the lighting, it was so atmospheric, and I did care, which was nice, because I didn't care about her for the rest of the other play. But this death scene was really good.
So that's it for our Hamlet review. We really recommend you going to see this. If you can go to the cinema, if they're producing it again, if they're showing it again. But all the tickets have been sold out. We would have loved to have gone, but obviously we couldn't get tickets. But it was such a good production, and we hope this video has given you some insight into what it's going to be like. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!